Welcome to Life Force Canada. I'm Karen, and together we rise. We're here to remind you that you're not alone, and we're here to educate you on how to exit this matrix that we're in and really moving out of the human slavery system to freedom. If you're new here, I do recommend that you listen to the Monday replays in our Life Force Canada YouTube channel so that you can find out more about who we are. And again, please subscribe. And I so appreciate your comments. Thank you. Oh, we have a lot in the waiting room here. 16. I'm just going to admit everyone. And mute. Okay. And update, I'm excited to announce that our educational think tank is creating an amazing website. Jade, our IT specialist in our Plan Council Alberta, she's been creating the site, a platform that will be connecting teachers and parents who are exiting the public school system in every province. So Jade and Norma Jean and Marianne will be walking us all through their masterpiece within the next couple of weeks. And Norma Jean is leading the National Educational Think Tank every Thursday. So I recommend you join in on the conversation because it's going to be very, very exciting. Okay, I want to share a personal story. I shared this on our Alberta call before we get into our discussion here. So signs are everywhere if you're looking for them. I was driving down Bow Trail towards downtown here in Calgary, and I was asking myself, how are we going to move out of this matrix as I'm driving? So many are plugged in, right? How are we going to shift to the other side? And as I crossed the intersection on 11th Street, right by the Staples, they have a digital sign above, and usually it says slow down or roads are icy or whatever in the wintertime. And in that moment, it read, hello from the other side. Isn't that amazing?
Hello from the other side.
Yeah. So many of you who've been with Life Force Canada for, since the beginning, I know that you know much of what we're discussing here this evening. However, there are many new people who do not know, and there are many who are waking up to the crimes against humanity and have no idea why we would ever want to leave the legal system. If you go back and listen to any of our replays in our Life Force Canada YouTube channel, we have always stated that we do not want to play in the devil's sandbox. We are creating our own system based in natural law, which is at the core, and do no harm to others. So we here at Life Force Canada are educating you on how to prepare for that change, to define the changes that we want to make together within the 9 pillars, and how we're going to co-create a self-governing system. Again, we do not need provincial governments. We do not need federal governments. We are bringing the power back to the people, back to each town. So we're not here to fight the government. We're not against anyone. We are for the people's government. You are here to learn how to self-govern. And that is a really, really big step. So many are used to listening to authority outside of themselves. And we see it everywhere with how many people believe they have to wear a mask in a store or a restaurant or get the jab, right? Yeah, my dad, speaking of the jab, my dad's thinking of getting the second shot. Yeah, we're all going through a lot right now. And you're here, all of us are here to take that one step at a time, right? And that one step can be, if you do wear a mask, for instance, the next time you go to a grocery store, do not wear one. I seem to be the only one not wearing a mask in Safeway and Superstore and Sunterra and Sobeys. and no one ever bothers me. Everyone's friendly and kind. And this is a great starting point in claiming our sovereignty, right? Start with no mask when you go to a grocery store. I know many of you don't wear one, but if there are people who are doing it, this is how we claim it, right? Freedom is right here in front of us if we're open to claiming it, right? So today our topic of discussion is about educating ourselves on the corrupt legal system and why it's important for us to step in and create the natural law system, which again is one of our pillars. And at the end, I'm going to be offering a 10-minute meditation. We need to learn how to respond calmly to the negative behavior of others. Now, I woke up decades ago. However, I started exploring more in depth about our birth certificates when this pandemic started and how the dark controllers had been selling us on the market. And it was an accumulation of things. However, it was that piece that just took me over the edge, right? It just really lit a fire in my belly, which really led me to these LifeForce Canada calls every Monday and being here with all you lovely and courageous souls. So in the chat, let me know how you're enjoying the David Straight videos. I think he is amazing. Do you like how he defined COVID-19? C is C, the letter C equals C, and then Ovid is sheep in Greek, and then 19 is military code for surrender, right? You put that all together. What do you get? Seriously, amazing. So I want to make a disclaimer right now. I'm not here to sell you on any courses or programs, tell you what to do. I've never taken David's program, so I cannot really personally recommend it. My friend Jamie has taken it and she loves it. And he does have some Canadian information that he shares if you sign up and you are receiving his emails. I just find his information really easy to comprehend and really relatable. Yes, I do believe that you should have an email in your inbox. It might be in your junk mail or promotions if you haven't received the actual link to his website. But they are amazing. We're going to watch a little snippet tonight. Now, the action that I want you to take is in regards to inspired action. You are not meant to take action alone. That's what gets sovereigns in trouble. The action I want you to take is that by having this knowledge, you are empowered. And I trust it will also light a fire up inside of you, like it did me, that you are ready to say yes to joining a planned council in your province, right? You're either ready to join the Alberta or the provincial calls in your province, or you're ready to create, as Elizabeth was sharing here, you're ready to create a planned council in your town or your city, right? This is how we do it. We are going to rise up together. Our power is in being together, doing this together through the creation of our sovereign councils. Or join a think tank and assist in co-creating, right, the new structures that serve humanity. We need volunteers in education, agriculture, energy, media, health and wellness, and of course, creating our natural law system. We're going to be requiring sheriffs in every town. This is something I'm learning as well. Did you know that sheriffs carry the highest authority in the town? Not the mayor, not the town council, it's the sheriff, right? They sign an oath to protect you from the corrupt government agendas. That's what they're meant to be doing. And so only the most devoted and courageous among you should assume the sacred responsibility as sheriff in your town. So the mission of a sheriff will not be easy, but this is something that I know Steve talks about in his law enforcement think tanks on Wednesdays. These are really important conversations that we need to start having 100%, right? The Plan Council links will be shared, I'm sure, in the chat for each province. and the think tank link. I highly recommend you bookmark that page and join in, listen in. Especially if you're new, you can listen in for a couple of weeks or so, ask questions, find out what it means to create your own plant council in your town. Thank you so much, Brian. There is a lot of training and education, as I mentioned, in the natural law pillar on how we need to step out of the legal world and into the law, creator law, right? So the legal system is the undoing of creator laws. And in order for us to step into natural law, you need to know why, you need to know the how, and the what for. And many people have no idea what it means to be sovereign. Some people say, I am sovereign. However, until you release your fears of the outer authority, it's really difficult to truly step into your own sovereignty, right? And so as we move forward in developing our councils, we're going to be learning how to truly be sovereign in all ways. And so we need to learn all of this so that when the time comes and our councils are ratified and funding's in place, we will all know what to do, how to do it, and more importantly, the why we're doing it. So being sovereign is about being kind and respectful, and it's about being fearless. Yes, excellent. No, Life First Canada is not a corporation. Yes, we are not in the old system. Thank you for asking that, Steve. And thank you, Sandra. Awesome. Okay, so how many of you are fearless? Okay, we shall see. Okay, are you willing to do a little exercise to see if you're fearless? This is going to take 1 minute. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes just for a moment. And in your imagination, I want you to see yourself standing in your home. Maybe you're in your kitchen and you're having a cup of coffee or tea. I don't drink coffee during the week, so I'm just going to imagine myself drinking tea. And you're feeling happy about life. Maybe you're doing a little kitchen dance in your PJ pants. And then you hear the doorbell ring. And you walk over to your front door, and standing there is a police officer. Just notice how you feel in your body. Do you feel any stress, anxiety, fear? And if you feel anxiety or stress, underneath that is fear. So just here, I want you to just name the fear. You don't have to say it out loud, just in your own mind. So now keep your eyes closed. I want you to take a deep breath. And now you're going to create what is known as a state change. So I want you to see that police officer now smiling at you. And that officer is going to say to you, I have taken my oath to protect you. I know that you are a living man or woman, and you are the true authority. How can I serve you? So notice now how you feel. Notice how much the energy is shifted in your body. And now it's your turn in your mind to say, thank you for acknowledging the truth. I am a living man or woman, and I feel calm and peaceful in your presence. And take a deep breath for that life force energy and letting go. Now you can open your eyes. If you felt fear when your imagination created the image of the policy enforcer, then that is the work that we're here to do, is releasing our fears. And that is my goal with you. And we do that by educating ourselves, right? Preparing dissolves anxiety. Yes, Gabby, it feels better, doesn't it? Good. Feeling compassion for them 100%. State change, just like that, right? That's how powerful we are. And so we have to always be honest with ourselves and how we feel. That is where our power is. Elizabeth.
So Karen, the very words that you used to describe how we were perceiving them, would that not be helpful to actually say that back to them? To say to them, I understand that your role is to keep me safe and to keep me, what I don't know how exactly, I can't remember exactly how you said it. That might actually be a very preemptive action that would maybe set them back, as opposed to us being in fear. You could say to them, I know why you're here, because you're here to protect me. And that could actually be a very quick paradigm shift for them.
Yes, Elizabeth, thank you for mentioning that.
It would be nice if you could put those words that you used in a document that we could tape right next to our front door to use as a tool of empowerment, and a tool of empowerment for an officer that were to come to your door, whether he be UN, local, you know, OPP, whatever, or I'm talking Ontario there, but.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing next week. Yes, thank you. So last week, I mentioned to you that one thing we do need to start doing is coming together as community, in community, having people over to our homes. And this is where we practice exactly what Elizabeth is talking about. We have that script right in front of us, and we begin practicing having those dyads. And we just pretend that's a police officer in front of us, whoever, right? And we begin having that conversation so that if it ever happens in real life, right, that we are calm and we are actually standing in our sovereignty. So thank you so much, Elizabeth. Yeah, we're going to definitely do that next week.
I didn't mean to spoil your surprise there. I just was
No.
intuitively online with you there.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. And this is what it's all about. It's about us being in that alignment, right? 100%. Yeah, the police unfortunately have been fed a lie on what sovereignty is. They're being trained to see sovereignty as a threat, as we know in regards to what Christina mentioned last week. Again, sovereignty is not about being angry or being against anything. Sovereignty is actually kindness. And it's about reclaiming our own soul force, right? Our life force energy. And it's about being fearless. And this is what we're going to be really stepping into. As I stated last week, we do not want to seek justice in their system. We want to create our own natural law court system. And I've been working on that in regards to the protocol and procedures. It's so simplified. If we look at the legal system and all of the articles, the books and books and books, it's been created to create complexity. And natural law, as we know, is simplicity. And the whole court procedure is like 8 pages or something, but I'm going to be sharing that next week as well. And it's just a first draft. Like we all get to create this together. You get to create it in your own town. It's very exciting. So to all of you who are new here, the truth is we need to learn our unalienable, I love how he says that, unalienable rights. So there's no lien against you. We need to learn how to stand in sovereignty as a living man or woman. We need to learn how to be face to face with any perceived authority, because the truth is you are the authority, and humanity is just waking up to this. Okay, so I'm just going to now play just a snippet of video 2. I know many of you have already seen it, but it's in regards to marriage certificate and a little bit about the birth certificate.
This diagram is from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. It is the blueprint of a marriage. Did you know the states patented a marriage? Yeah. For all those of thinking about getting married or are married, this is for you. For those that are divorced, it's still for you. See, the state is the primary in the contract. The state joins with the husband and then enjoins with the wife. There is no direct line connection between the husband and the wife. Enjoins. Enjoins. Joins and enjoins. Enjoins just means second position joinery. Okay? So the state joins with the husband, enjoins with the wife. There's no direct line between the husband and the wife. That is a broken line. Any architect or engineer will tell you that a broken line on a blueprint is a beam that bears no weight. And they put God on that line. So God bears no weight in the contract. When you get married with the state, God bears no weight in the contract. The state is the primary contract holder under the doctrine of parens patriae. And if the husband wants to deal with the wife, they have to go through the state. If the wife wants to deal with the husband, they have to go through the state, and so on. Yeah. Yeah. And they tell you you have to get a divorce if you want to separate. When you get a divorce, you're still under contract with the state. So you still have to work through the state. Even if you've been divorced 30 years, you work with the state. They get involved in every aspect of your life between the two of you with the state. So I said this in one of my classes in Alabama. And it was a class of the 10th Amendment Society. And the 10th Amendment Society down there took this to their state legislatures. And the state of Alabama no longer issues marriage licenses. They do what I tell them to do. And what I tell them to do is to take a holy Bible, a family Bible that has the pages in it, and you record the event, the date, the time, the place, who officiated, a couple of witnesses, and you do that with your births, your marriages, your deaths in your family, and you record them in the family Bible. The state of Alabama says take these to a probate judge, and he'll record them on the land with the county recorder. And it's every bit as illegal as that. But you don't have the state as the primary in your life. That's how we're supposed to get married. Bible under public law. 97-280. Public law 97-280. The Bible is law. The Bible is the Word of God. This nation was founded on God principles, and the Bible is law. And since 1607, we, the people, have been recording our marriages, our births, and our deaths in the Bible, and recording them on the counties of this country since 1607. It wasn't until the 1930s that we started doing this. Any religious book, you have freedom of religion. But this country was founded on Christian principles. So as far as I know, it's any Christian Bible. So the Bible, specifically the 1611 King James Version, was declared the Word of God, was by Congress made public law. It's the best I can answer that answer for you. But this is a problem. There's nothing, no line between these two, except through the state. You can do it in any state. Now, the church may not accept that. To get a temple recommend, they may require you have a marriage license with the state of Utah. See if they've been bastardized. Okay? It's not up to me. Check. Yeah, well, of course, but it's more than that. It's to keep your persons legal, which is the undoing of God's laws, to keep control under the doctrine of parens patriae, 1P, 1P, 2Ps. Okay? Stay as your parents. Once we understand these basic principles, now you can move on and you can solve things. But until you know the basics, you can't solve anything. You just go around in this big old dumb circle and keep getting taxed your whole life. Taxed in one way or another, whether it's a fine or go to jail, whatever. See, I started talking about indictments. If you don't pay the bill, you're brought up on charges. If you don't pay the charges, you're asked to bond. If you don't pay the bond, your body is held as surety for the bond while they steal from your trust. They take from your trust out of your court case number, which is a CUSIP number. It's regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. You can look them up. Fidelity.com. If you know how to navigate their website, they make their website hard to navigate. The easy one is GMEI Utility. GMEI Utility, you can simply go up to the upper right-hand corner, click on the little hourglass. It brings down a little search window and it says, search for an LEI. And you type in your birth certificate number or your social security number or any of your CUSIP numbers. LEI. And it will show you the companies that are buying and selling. Jody pulled it up during lunch on her. How many thousands of accounts did you have? Just under your social security? Yeah, so that's one CUSIP number of hers. And she had 100,000 plus companies buying and selling her. Well,
will it show you how much money you have?
Well, they buy them in groups, bundles, 10,000, 25,000, 100,000. Okay, let's just say they average $25,000 times 100,000. Look how many zeros that is. Okay. You're worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. They have done a very good job investing, hypothecating, buying and selling, rolling those things over. They bundle them, they roll them over, they hypothecate them, and yeah. almost 152,000 companies buying her United States Treasury bonds under her CUSIP number. And she can't even go buy a brand spanking new Lexus. See? You see what I mean? Hundreds of millions of dollars in her account. Oh, yeah. Yeah, my dad died in 1989. I think last year, I pulled his Social Security up. They're still buying and selling him. They don't care. See, they don't care. It lives on in perpetuity forever. Right? What difference does it make? Right? That's why they refer to us as chattel, which is cattle. And now I think we've digressed to sheep.
Yes.
Okay, so if that doesn't fire you up to start your own plant council in your town, I don't know what will. Okay, so we're going to go into a Q&A. If you have a question or want to share your brilliance, you are welcome to do that. And just raise your hand, go in the reactions button, raise your hand, and then I will bring you forward. Barbara. Barbara, you there?
Sorry, I didn't unmute. I asked my whole question while it was muted. Sorry about that. He was talking about the states and their statutes and numbers. Was he speaking about all of North America, or was it just for the states? And is there different rules for us here?
Sorry, in regards to?
The video we just watched.
Oh, that's everywhere in the world. That's every human being.
So when he's talking about the marriage license and the law, the number of what the law was for the Bible, is that the same in Canada, or would that be different here?
I think it's different for every country. I'm not too sure what it would be in Canada.
So would that marriage, that diagram be here, or is that not the same as here?
It would be the same as here.
Just different law.
Just different law, absolutely. It is the same in every country. Just look at the divorce rate. They make a lot of money on couples getting a divorce, right? And marriages are patent. The state is a primary, the state or the province or country is primary in the marriage contract and joins with the husband and then enjoins with the wife. There's no connection between husband and wife, right? So
what about common law relationships?
So in common law, we do not, there's no marriage certificate, right? So if you don't go into getting a marriage certificate, then you're free. However, we still are stepping into the system, right? When we have a driver's license, when we have anything at all, insurance, mortgage, etc., right? So if they don't get you with a marriage certificate, they're going to get you another way. So as we move forward, right, in natural law, we're not going to need a marriage license. I am not a Christian, I'm more spiritual. I think we're going to have the freedom, right, to unite in any way we choose. Yeah, but great question, Barbara. Thank you. Yeah, and the broken line, right, between husband and wife, right? A beam that bears no weight. It's no wonder so many marriages are struggling. And I used to facilitate a course that I created called Evolution of Relationships. And it was incredible how in creating synergy was very difficult for many of the couples. And one woman even said to me, she said, Karen, I don't even know if I can create synergy with my husband. I'm so used to arguing with him all the time that creating peace in my marriage, I think I'd be really bored. And so the programming is there. I mean, just look at the movies and the television shows out there in the world, right? It's just crazy. Sherry.
So I have a million questions. I know I don't have the floor for that long, so I'll ask my most prescient question, which is is this just like some kind of chess game, or poker game, with humans spiritually that's actually happening? Like, it's such a bizarre concept to me that it's the only thing I can think of is like they're like little pawns, let's play with them.
Yes,
Is
that's
that
exactly what it is, Sherry. And this is why it's called the Great Awakening, right? There's many of us that have woken up like 20 years ago and we saw it immediately. And then, going down many, many different rabbit holes. But this 2020 was the Great Awakening. And so now most people are becoming aware of all of the systems and how they are so corrupt. So all the Illuminati, they created the systems, the education system, right? The legal system, the health and care system to keep us dumbed down, keep us focusing on the TV or sports so that we don't discover the truth.
I'm thinking our health and wellness committee might have to come up with an awakening headache pill.
Yes, exactly, Carrie.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It's a really powerful conversation that we all need to have. And thank you, Sherry. I want to talk about fraud for just a moment. David reminds us that everything our government has done really is fraud upon the people. And we need to name the fraud. And that's what our committees are all about, right? Our councils. So we need to name the fraud, to feel it, to acknowledge how we've given our power away. And when we do not hold somebody accountable, their authority grows and out of control, right? And that's what's happened. We've given the governments to have authority over us. And they have just done whatever they wanted to do. And it's now out of control. And we need to, again, name the fraud in our agriculture, the fraud in the legal system, the fraud in the healthcare system, the fraud in the education. People are starting to finally see. So when you join your plan council in your town or your city, or you're a part of a committee, you're now joining forces on deleting the fraud and correcting the errors. And that's why it's so powerful to really get involved. Dolores, hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, nice. Thank you for your time here. Yeah, I thought now I've been actually involved for a while now, and I paid $100 to get to make myself sovereign. Is it true that was done by Kim? That we've been made sovereign now?
Yes, we have. And now we need to recognize it within ourselves.
Now, do we get a document or anything for that, or like how would I prove it?
I am going to be asking that exact question this week, Doris. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I remember paying my 100 a while ago because I haven't joined a committee because I'm in a bit of a conundrum. Maybe you guys can give me a suggestion, everyone listening. Sorry to interlope like this, but I retired. I'm from Ontario, and I retired, and with all my pensions to afford rent, I came to a town in Quebec in the Laurentians, but I'm not fluent in French. Okay, so the problem I have is I want to get more involved with the global movement, but how can I? It's really I have to move. I'm going to have to move to an English-speaking province, right? Because I could join the Quebec, but then when we go to people and talk about it, I'd be kind of useless. And Quebec is a pretty serious place to get involved, So I'm thinking of moving to Alberta because you guys seem to be ahead of everything in Canada. Is that true?
I think BC is doing great. Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, we've got Plan Council, New Brunswick right now as well. And so we're really empowering everyone in Canada to step in and step up and take action. So yeah, I would just recommend that you go wherever your heart is guiding you to go.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. I'll be doing that. And maybe I'll join some other provinces, even though I'm not in them. Could that be a good way of doing that?
Absolutely, Doris. You are welcome to join any of the provinces on the provincial calls. And there, you should have received an email, and in that email is all the provincial calls and when the dates and times that they are available, and
I
the Zoom link.
think you did. You're very good at sending me email.
Thank you, Doris.
Okay, I'll go now or to someone else. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and thank you for.
I'm so glad you're here, Dolores. Appreciate you. Steve,
Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hi, Steve.
Yeah, we got a call tomorrow, I believe.
Yes, we do. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Cool. So my question, I think you answered it, but I mean, I've been following a few different people over the last 2 years as this craziness started, and my wife and I are in Florida now, but we're planning to come back to Canada. We're here visiting, traveling, and I guess, how do you guys? I'm trusting the information. I'm trusting what you're sharing with me. A lot of what you've shared with me, I've heard Christopher James share on common law. It makes sense to me. I see through the corruption. I guess what I'm wondering is, do you and others envision this rolling out as sort of like, I think you call them the councils. The councils would get formed, they're getting formed. And then that would help us create the banking, the education, all the other systems that would come part of our new, we'll call it, Canada 2.0 or World 2.0,
Yes.
Humanity 2.0, whatever it is. This is crazy. But is that how you guys see it? Is like the council is kind of like the foundation? I'm an engineer by trade, so I'm asking a lot of questions because I'm like, how does this kind of structure out, right? So if you can give me any insight into your thinking around that, or anyone's thinking around that, I appreciate it.
100%. We do have some amazing replays in the Life Force Canada YouTube channel in regards to what our councils are all about, what our committees are all about. But yes, our power is in our councils, because that's where sovereignty is. So many people over the years, right, have tried to become sovereign on their own, and they've just, gone through hell.
Yep.
Right? And
Yeah.
so we need to come together. And the power is in togetherness.
Okay, got it. Awesome. I got a lot to share, but I also got a lot to learn. So I'm ready to go. This is great.
Yay, I'm so glad you're here, Steve. Awesome. I just wanted to share with everyone here that, on a different topic, but again, this is about us really stepping into our sovereignty, is that David talks about the veterans, right, who've had PTSD, suffered. And I really want to speak into that, because I think a lot of people are really experiencing a lot of stress, and PTSD is when our soul, right, is in conflict with our body. And many vets were sold into believing that they were fighting for their country, and then they discovered that they were not, that the wars were really about something else completely different. And so they were frauded and tormented, and the PTSD can only be dissolved when that acknowledgement of the fraud comes forth. And again, this is true for anyone suffering with PTSD. And we're all being called now to, again, acknowledge the fraud that's been placed upon us. And that's why these videos with David and whoever you are wanting to, whoever you're drawn to really listen to, it can feel really uncomfortable, but we really need to be doing this homework. And if anyone has PTSD, it means that we have done something that is not in integrity with our own soul. Again, we need to name that fraud in our own life where we've been out of integrity. And again, before I move forward, I'm sharing this because I receive many emails every day, and I want to thank those who show appreciation. I see you, and I really send you abundant blessings. You give me the strength to keep going. And there are so many who are feeling angry. They're feeling sad. They're feeling depressed with the system that we've been in. They're suffering with debt as they just lost their job, or they know someone who's very ill from the shot, right? Everyone is going through so much right now. And I just want to remind you that everything that we're going through, we have to experience it. I don't like saying the word have to, but we're here to experience all of it. Because again, it's waking us up to a deeper truth of what reality is and what reality is not. And as painful as it can be, it's all happening so that we can reclaim our power and create a new earth. And when you're in your sovereign authority, again, you're in your heart. And we're going to be moving through many different stages as to get there, to fully live in the heart. We're going to be feeling a lot of emotions. We're going to be feeling things that we maybe have ignored. And I don't want you to ignore your anger. I don't want you to ignore your sadness. And many are going to be feeling betrayed in all areas of their life. And we're experiencing this on a global scale. My friend Kimberly, she just shared, she's in the health and wellness, and she shared how many people in the health industry are committing suicide. And so it's devastating so many. And I just want to, I think it's really important that I speak to this right now, because I want as many souls to make it through to the other side, right? Hello from the other side, right? So to know that we have the power. And the emotion of anger has always been one of the most powerful catalysts for change, right? It's part of the 5 stages of grieving. So that first stage is denial, and we're seeing a lot of denial out there in the world, right? Denial is how we process the reality of our loss. And so many people are experiencing loss as we enter into a new world, right? We're also going to, when people are in denial, we're also trying to survive emotional pain, right? That second stage is anger. Anger is where you say, I've had enough. I've had enough of this behavior. I've had enough of this way of life. And it's usually when that bubble pops, it comes to the surface and we've had enough. And on the other side of the anger, we want to take action. That third stage is bargaining. In regards to the grieving process. We're all going to be moving through this. Doesn't matter, you know, how enlightened we are. We're going to be moving through this. So bargaining, this is where you're feeling desperate, that you're willing to do almost anything to alleviate or minimize pain. As I mentioned, my dad's thinking of getting the second shot. And I know that he's only thinking that because he's trying to bargain with God right now in some way. And so Dwayne and I are doing our best to, you know, to influence him, to know that he can make it through this time. And that fourth stage is depression. And this is when our imagination begins to calm down. We slowly start to really look at reality from our present situation. And this is where we do nothing. We don't take action here. We need to cocoon ourselves. We need to give ourselves permission to cocoon, to nurture ourselves. You know, we may not like the reality that we're seeing. I get it, right? Everywhere I go, people are wearing masks. And this is where people are committing suicide. And so the thing is that they do not realize that in this phase, we haven't been taught how to feel our emotions, to go within and feel our sadness. And this is one of the stages to enlightenment. But most people do not realize it. So it's really important, if you're feeling depressed, to remember to reach out and cancel your cable if you haven't yet. Stop watching the news and movies, because those movies and TV shows, they are really designed to trigger you.
Got that bottom run up there, you should see the speaker on it.
So, and then the next one, the final one, is acceptance. And we have moved then beyond our own resistance, right? And we're ready to see growth. And this is where we start spiraling up, right? This is where you're going to start accepting things that things will not be the same. And we don't want them to be the same. We're focusing on the future now. And this is when you're going to start saying, how can I help? How can I participate? How can I create a planning council in my town? I want to take action. Where do you need me? How can I use my skill sets in the think tank to create the new earth, right? You're letting go of attachments, And on the other side of all these stages of grief, this is where we experience integrity, right? Sovereignty is about integrity. As David mentioned, corporations have been created because they're not about integrity. And so sovereignty is living in integrity. And this is how we become self-governing as we move forward. Ellie.
Hi, I just wanted to ask for some clarification. Someone asked or mentioned that we were sovereign already, and you said yes. Can you clarify that if that's a true statement? Because my understanding was that we had to go online, do something with our birth certificate, and go through a special process to actually have that done.
Yes, thank you for asking that question. So Kim Gogan, who is the head of the LifeForce Global, she's head of state. She has put through the Hall of Records that every human being on this planet is already sovereign. And so I have a call with Kelly tomorrow. He's with the PTSD. I'm going to be asking him if we can start seeing that document, because I think it is really important that we do see it. And on the flip side, in regards to the process, I get it. David mentions that true sovereignty is only when you have mastered yourself in all three areas of law, right? So land, air, and water. So we've actually stepped out of all three jurisdictions and stepped into reclaiming our sovereignty from that level. So I'm still exploring that to see what that looks like. I'm trusting that we don't even have to do that anymore, that we can truly just claim sovereignty within our clan councils, and we can do this together.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Christina, hello.
Hi, thanks, Karen, for all those levels of grief. We're also in Scorpio time right now, so it's a time of birth, transformation, death, and rebirth. So we're probably doing a little cocooning. And I'm aware, like PTSD Kim mentioned today, is related to parasites as well. So doing a detox right now is a really good idea on all levels. And anger, when transmuted, is actually our passion and our purpose. When we use it for sort of divine, we intervent ourselves, when we reinvent ourselves, really, when we feel that anger and go into it, because we all have been betrayed. And I've been doing it for years because I've had enough incidences with being pushed into that area with the police incident, whatever, of feeling it at a very core level. And our soul knows what's going on. So we really want to listen to that soul. I wanted to ask you about a couple of things. That there's a bond on our birth certificate. I don't know if you're probably aware of that, but with sovereignty, are we able to claim that bond that's been there since birth? Have you been, following that with Kim? And she hasn't never mentioned the bond part. So there's one question on our birth certificate. And then I heard yesterday that mandate is not a law from someone in Ontario, but I understood that, or it is a law, but I understood that a mandate is not a law. So I know that's a little bit unrelated, but is a mandate a law, and can we claim the bond on our birth certificates? What do you know?
Christina, no, mandate is definitely not law. Everything they're doing is unlawful.
Okay, it was a prosecuting attorney that did this talk in Ontario, and she kept insisting that mandate is law, but I've looked up everything and it's not a law. Okay.
Well, Doris is here. She could probably speak to that.
Awesome. And then the bond on the birth certificate, do you know much about that? And like, it should be worth billions of dollars, because when you're born, there's so much money you're going to spend and make, and basically there's a bond put on, and in that registered number, it is traded on a stock exchange. That's what that registered number is at birth. You're like a product now. You're the straw man. So that straw man has a bond on it. And it's like, can we claim the bond?
Yes, that's what Ellie asked as well. So I'm going to be clarifying that this week, 100%, because we've heard that Kim has put us through that we're all sovereign, and that's awesome. However, that bond is a big piece that I want to get clarity on for all of us, right? Because those millions of dollars should be given back to every human being.
Yeah, I thought I could just jump in on this, Karen.
Yeah.
Kim covered this quite a while ago when she originally talked about this SQV trust. And I believe that is partially, I would say it's a part of the overall global assets, but it was an allocation that was intended when it was originally implemented to actually pay for things like our education, our healthcare, or things, or I'm not sure if it included healthcare, but it was to provide the social services to us, the infrastructure support to us. But then it was taken over and reallocated by the controllers. So they abdicated with it, or they absconded with it. So to my understanding, that whole burst, she talked about the ANNA system, about how securities get registered on that system in Belgium, and everything is traded, and the birth certificates, and it had something to do with the soul as well, which I think you discussed a bit last week, through the Vatican. And so I believe, if I recall correctly, that she has canceled that program, and it's in the global trust, the global assets. But that's part of this whole restoration plan and how the allocation of funds is happening. That's what we are waiting for funding from. We are literally getting that money provided to us finally, as opposed to having someone interceding between us and it. That's a pretty basic understanding that I have, and it's been a while since she did talk about it. And maybe to help you next week, I'll do some research and see if I can actually find that video where she talks about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Christina. Yes, and that answers your question, Diane, as well. Yes, and you're already sovereign, Kendra, 100%. It's about us claiming it. So I think what we're talking about here is the money piece. People are asking about the money. But yeah, we are stepping out of the old system and dissolving that completely. Kim's doing her work, and we need to do our own work in regards to being fearless and standing in our authority, right? Doing those small little pieces is really going to make a big shift. Now, Dolores.
Right now, I can tell you, I feel kind of guilty because when I go shopping for groceries, I put the mask on, because a couple times I went in and tried to do it without it. And the store clerks come running up to me with a mask, right?
Yeah.
And then I saw on the news recently, this happened in Montreal, this poor guy, but I got to tip my hat to him. He keeps going to the store and he not wearing a mask, and he actually got wrestled to the ground with 2 policemen handcuffed in charge and all that. So I don't want to go through that. Like, I'm a bit of a coward. Now, if we had enforcement, I guess now that's really what I want to know now. We're developing our own enforcement, correct? And by that, does that mean like our police?
Yes, Dolores. So in regards to your first question, in regards to the mask, they approach me too. They offer a mask and they're very polite, and I'm very polite and I say, no, thank you. And then I just keep walking. And so this is where we need to really step into our courageous heart. And, if there's a moment where the police show up, which I really doubt is happening on so many levels, I do believe a lot of the times that we're seeing on the news and stuff too, they're creations to keep people from stepping into their power. And I'm seeing on both sides of the spectrum. And so that's why I don't watch anything at all of what they're doing in the world. I'm only focusing on what we need to do, how we take back our power emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and of course physically. So it's just practicing going into a store that where people know you, right? And just going in without the mask and just feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a try again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the enforcement question, because they're taking applications for enforcement. So is that our own police? Because that would be good if, like, let's say we went somewhere and something happened, we'd have our own police force. Is that what's gonna come eventually?
So we will have our own law enforcement in place once we're ratified, once we have funding in place. And so this will be where our sheriffs, right, the peace officers are actually for the people, and they're standing for the oath that they signed, and they're following through with that. And so what they're asking for out there in the world is not for the people. So I think, did I answer your question? Is what they're asking
like for example now, because a store can call the police if they want. They do it here though. They do it. Okay, so if we had our own enforcement, then is that eventually going to come? Because I know it's like we have a lot of steps to take, but eventually we'll have our own police basically.
Yes, we will. 100% we will. And so that's what we need to attract. We need to attract more police officers, peace officers, security, anyone who is exiting the corrupt system.
Yeah, I'm wondering, that was a suggestion I was going to make if I went to a think tank. I was thinking to asking, could letters be sent from, to people that are being threatened with losing their job because they don't want to take the vaccination, like nurses and doctors? Isn't that a good opportunity to approach these people some way and let them know that they have an alternative?
Yes, we do have a link to the GIA in regards to, there's an employer, you can actually submit a grievance. I think someone here can actually maybe go in and add it into the chat. But if you know someone who is an employee and they're forcing the vax, right? There can actually be a grievance submitted upon that employer. And yeah.
To the Global Intelligence Agency, or?
Yes.
Okay, I won't take any more of your time. I learned a lot. Thank you for your patience and your information. Thank you.
Oh, that's what this call is all about. And sometimes I don't have the answers, and so I open it up to other people who do.
I feel good just getting it off my chest. Okay, thank you.
Good. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Our mind can see the old system and really feel frustrated and angry, and yet, we can be told that we have the power to create a new earth, over here, and yet we do nothing. And so these calls are really to ignite you and to everyone, right? And even though you may feel you don't know what it means to be in a plan council, we didn't either a year ago or so when we started this. We had no idea. We've never done anything like this before. So we're all learning, all of us, every one of us. And this is what this is all about. Oh, I wanted to share in regards to, what was it? Oh, summons, the words they use, right? Summons in the court is a satanic ritual calling the dead into court. And the word parent is parent. So the parents are a pair and they're renting their children. It's crazy how they've just, those crazy Rothschilds. Dwayne.
Thank you, Karen. Good evening, everyone. For those people that are scared to go into a situation where they may be hassled or harassed, or they don't want to ruffle any feathers when it comes to the mandates, masking and whatnot. If you feel that the store or establishment that you're going into is not going to support you, but you really do want to get out I highly recommend. And I know some people say that marches and walks and gatherings that are, counter to the narrative are not doing anything. The one thing it is doing, don't think of it as a trying to get the government's attention, or we're going to move mountains because, a few thousand people are on the streets. That's probably not going to happen in the not too distant future. But what will happen was you will find your community. What will happen is you get to be with other sovereigns. What will happen is you get to hug other people that are like-minded. You get to be in public without any mask, where everyone on the periphery is wearing a mask. You get to be free for a couple hours. You get to engage for a couple hours. You get to express yourself. And so I highly recommend, no matter where you are in this country, seek out a gathering that is doing non-compliant and just go. And even if you're by yourself, you will find your community. It is so important. And I understand that the 6th, next Saturday, is a global rally. So everywhere they are making sure that people get their voices heard and get out there. But if anything, do it for your sanity, do it for your state of mind, do it for connection, do it for community, and just being able to be with one another. And for all of you in Lifeforce Canada, show our colors. Let the world know that you are with Lifeforce Canada. We've got banners, a PDF document that you can share with people. I've shared that document before. I believe it is now available on the website. I will put it on the chat, but it is available. But again, get out and meet with other sovereigns. It is so important for this time, but it's also for your spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. So important now. And with that, I yield.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. Yes, be out there on Saturday. Yay. Dwayne, can you just share maybe the PDF in the chat? And I agree with you, John. We can choose not to shop where masks are required, 100%. I will not go into Blush Lane anymore. Boycott, 100%. And police, yes, the police are actually policy enforcement revenue collection agents. That's all they really are and ever have been. And so we're dissolving our fear. And warrant, a warrant is warrant, declaring war on you. And I'm just reading the chat right now. Okay, is there any more questions? So we, the people, are the new government. And to step into natural law, again, we need to know the how, the why, the what, right? And most people have no idea what it means to be sovereign. We are already sovereign. It's just living in sovereignty now. Thank you for everyone who's sharing the Lifeforce Canada.ca link, because so many are signing up through Telegram, through Facebook, and we just really appreciate you. Our numbers are rising and it's very, very exciting. And we just really need to come together and support one another. And if you have people in your town who are freedom lovers, come together for potlucks, lunches, dinners, whatever it is, I think it's so important. And begin to practice. And that's what we're going to step into next week, is practicing those words, that what Elizabeth and I were referring to as well. And really allowing for ourselves to no longer fear the security guard at the store, to fear a cashier, to fear anyone that comes into the presence of who we are. to know that we can remain calm, because there is a fear in the subconscious, the fear of conflict, and we need to dissolve that fear 100%. And as we begin to do this work, then we don't have to experience it out there in the physical reality. Thank you so much, Jan. And thank you, Dwayne, for sharing the brochure. Awesome. Sandra.
I'd just like to respond to a question in the chat from Danielle, who says, oh, it's scrolling away from me. I have a friend who is curious about joining LFC, smiley face. They are curious about what kinds of action they can see that has been taken by LFC so far. So the primary action is the formation of plan councils across Canada in almost all of the provinces. And then now, as was discussed at the beginning of the call, we're starting to build that next tier in cities and towns and counties within the provinces. The plan councils do operate separately from LifeForce. LifeForce is an ambassadorship. We're the educators, informers, organizers, directing people, sort of directing traffic or helping people connect into the various ways that we're of the restoration plan overall. We've only been at this, as Karen mentioned, just over a year. So a lot of foundation has been established. There's been a lot of work accomplished in that year, but you may not necessarily see it on the surface. But I think you're going to start seeing it, and that we're all kind of holding our breath, waiting for things like the LifeForce Assurance Card, which is not our doing, that's coming from the Global Directorate. But you know, those kinds of tangible things are going to make a huge difference, and we all want them, even for people, doubters within our families, etc. It's like, give us some proof. But just be assured that there is lots happening. There's certainly lots of ways to get connected. The think tanks are producing a lot of great material. We've managed separately, again, it's another sort of arm of everything, is the United Network News. And we have a Canadian news desk that's underway now that's producing content there. We haven't managed to get to a weekly episode yet, but we're getting our process nailed down, and hopefully we'll get that report up. So I don't know if that helps, Danielle, but there's a lot going on under the surface, let's put it that way. And there's a lot of different ways to get involved. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Yes, there is a lot going on underneath the surface. And right now, this is really all about you connecting on the think tanks. If you connect into the think tanks, you'll see what's really going on, everyone, especially if you're new. And it's in those spaces that you connect with your passion and how you want to create the new structures. For example, here in Alberta, we have an amazing health and wellness committee that Sherry Strong is leading, and they are doing so much work. And the goal now too is to create a website that really focuses on the holistic care, the self-care, really stepping out of the old death model. And so this is all about what you can do, right? What do you want to see, and how do you think you can be a part of this, right? And we are all doing this together. Is it Lily, or I'm sorry, I can't, the letters are all.
I think Yui.
Yui, oh, sorry.
No worries. Sorry, my video is not working. I think I had to restart my computer, but I just wanted to jump on and say hello to everyone. I'm new, this is my first time here. And I'm a recently graduated student, so I have a bit of catch up to do with LifeForce and some videos, and I'm on a bunch of Telegram chats that I'm trying to keep up with. Thanks, Kendra. But yeah, I guess my question is, which it sounds like this might be expanded more next week. I personally find myself in a financial position where I can volunteer a certain amount of hours, but then I also don't have a lot of money. And I'm just wondering if there's any kind of, as we evolve together with this, like, will there be some kind of relief for people who are in need of money, or who, like, how to make this like work with people who don't necessarily have the means or stable housing, or et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you for that question. And before I answer it, what does your name mean? Like, what's the meaning of it? Where does it come from?
Oh, Yui is just short for my name, Justina.
Yui, I love it. Thank you. So right now, our plan councils, once they're ratified, we will be receiving funding, and within that funding, everyone that's involved in the councils will be receiving a salary. And right now, a lot of us are giving a lot of volunteer hours. I am working probably 10 hours, 7 days a week. But I'm committed, and I'm here because I want to make sure everyone it becomes sovereign and free. And it's my passion. And some people, of course, don't have that luxury or the time to work those long hours, and we're not expecting that from everybody. It's like whatever you can offer is so appreciated, 100%. And as we move forward, I do know there's going to be a relief fund that will be available too for everyone. And again, we are going to be moving into a time of great prosperity, and we have to keep holding that in the highest of our thoughts, that we are moving into prosperity. The prosperity is already here. We just need to be stepping forth and creating this new earth together. And it is a prosperous reality that we're going to be stepping into, 100%.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, is there a way to provide a list of participants? Oh, great idea, Dean. So yeah, I sometimes forget to do that. So when I say welcome to everyone in the very beginning, I asked them to share their name and where they're from. And that's the reason why, is because if you share in the chat where you're from, you might connect with people in your own town or your own community that are here. And then you can really, meet in person. So I think that's really, really important because there's a lot of people that are feeling alone, and they don't have family, they don't have friends, because their whole belief systems are shifting, and they're in that old world as you're stepping into the new world. And so as you move forward here, we want you to connect with people. And there's people here from Surrey and Vancouver and Kelowna and Vernon and all over BC, Alberta, every province here. So I do recommend that you tap into your plan council, your provincial plan council, and the links are in the chat. And once you step into those plan councils and you are on the calls, that's where you let everyone know where you're from, so that you can actually connect to other people as well. And I'm here in Alberta, and we have our Alberta calls on tomorrow night, Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. And I'm in Calgary. And so anyone that's here from Alberta, join the call tomorrow, and you'll be learning what we're doing in Alberta as well. And this is a really powerful time for all of us to connect, right? And as Dwayne said, if you can go to the rallies, that's where you're going to meet other people, right? Having that courage to really connect with other people and hug other people is really, really important as well. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for standing for freedom. Together we rise. I look forward to seeing you on the think tanks this week. Okay, so we're just going to close our eyes. Focusing on the breath, focusing on breathing in that life force energy. And we're slowing down slowing down to the speed of life. Just focusing on your breath. Just letting go. Just letting go of yesterday, letting go of tomorrow. Just giving yourself permission to relax. And we have two voices within our mind. We have the voice of the ego, the voice that says, you're not enough, you're not good enough, you don't know enough, you're not smart enough. And that voice is the voice we're going to be letting go of, because that voice is lying to you. That voice is a program in the system that they want you to believe is not who you are. And we have another voice, the voice of our higher self, the voice of wisdom, the voice of guidance. And that voice can be a still, small voice if we're so used to listening to the other voice of the ego mind. And the voice of your higher self, your true self, is that voice that shares with you how amazing you truly are, how incredible you are. And that you have the power to move through any obstacle in your path. And that voice of our higher self is the one we're tuning into. And the voice of the ego, that negative self-talk, that inner critic, if that inner critic starts to show itself, you just say, no, sorry, I'm not listening to you right now. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I'm choosing to listen to the voice of my higher self. My guides and teachers of divine love and light. Whatever your faith is, you're tuning into that energy now. And I want you now to take your awareness and I want you to bring it down to your belly button. Bring it down to your belly. Just feel yourself breathing in from that space. You're breathing in life force energy into your belly. There is a power source right there. Just breathe into that space. Breathe in that life force energy. And as you're breathing in, into your belly button, into your organs, we're just dissolving any toxicity here. We're just dissolving energies that no longer serve you. And when you breathe into your belly button, when you're breathing into this space, into your navel, you're just directing that energy into your bone marrow. Just allowing for that life force energy to be drawn into our bones, to be drawn into our bone marrow, to give our bones strength. Just keep breathing and just placing your attention there. We're just tuning into our body, just giving our body energy, the energy to move forward. Just feel yourself just focusing on breathing that energy into your bones. We forget about our bones. So we're just acknowledging our bones. Just breathing into bone marrow. Just allowing your breath to slow down. You're breathing in to the count of 5 and you're breathing out to the count of 5. We're giving ourselves the breath of life. And we're just dissolving everything that does not serve your highest good, does not serve your soul. Just keep breathing into your diaphragm, breathing into your belly, expanding your belly out. When we're centered with life force energy in the navel or in the solar plex, we release so much fear. We release so much stagnant energy. Just keep focusing on your breath, and we're just going to sit here in silence for a moment. Keep focusing on your breath. I am sovereign. I am reclaiming my personal power now. And so it is. On the count of 3, you can open your eyes. So 1, bring yourself back into your room. 2, bring yourself back into your body. And 3. I do recommend that you continue meditation. It's so beneficial, especially if you're feeling stress. And if you feel stressed during the day, 10 deep belly breaths ground you into your body. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Thanks, Karen. Good night, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Night.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Everyone, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Karen, can I have 5 minutes of your time,
Yes, absolutely.
please? Okay,
Always.
okay. Thanks.